The boiled one has escaped, and it's already too late. The moment we opened this game, I swear something felt wrong. And I don't mean the funny kind of wrong, not like bad graphics, glitchy menus, or some goofy sound effect that makes you laugh instead of scream. No, this was different, heavier. It felt like the game itself was watching us. Even on the loading screen, there was this silence. This pressure, like the air in the room, got heavier the second the game booted up. My chest actually tightened, and I remember glancing at my friend like, do you feel that too?" And he just nodded, dead serious. Then we heard it, that sound, not music, not ambient wind, not even creepy whispers. It was boiling, bubbling, like a pot of water sitting right next to my ear. At first, I thought maybe my headset was bugging out, but nope, it was intentional. The longer we sat there, the louder it got, until I could practically smell steam rising off the screen. We laughed nervously, like, okay, that's weird. But honestly, I already hated it. It was too specific, too real, and then came the title screen, if you can even call it that. Usually you get new game, or continue, maybe some spooky background art, but not here, just 3 words, big, bold, blood-red text, contain him, no flashy effects, no soundtrack, just boiling water echoing through my headset. While those words stared back at us, I don't know why, but it gave me the creeps more than any jump scare could have. It felt personal, like a command, like the game wasn't asking me, it was telling me. We hesitated. Honestly, we almost quit right there. But of course, curiosity always wins, right? So we clicked. The screen flickered with static, like an old TV losing signal, and then, bam, we were standing in this hallway, rusted walls, dripping pipes, the floor slick with something that looked like water but didn't sound like it. Every footstep echoed like we were walking in a giant empty chamber, and the worst part, the boiling sound followed us in. It wasn't just on the menu, it was in the world. I remember saying out loud, "Nope, I already don't like this." We joked to calm ourselves down, throwing little one-liners like, well, at least the floor's freshly mopped. But deep down we weren't laughing. Every inch of this place screamed wrong, and then we noticed something else. The walls, they weren't just wet, they were blistered, like heat had warped metal itself. Steam hissed through cracks in the ceiling. It honestly felt like the whole place had been cooked alive. We pushed forward slowly, trying to figure out what the objective even was. There were no instructions, no HUD, no weapons, nothing, just us, the dripping, and that sickening bubbling sound that never stopped. My friend whispered, "Do you feel like we're trespassing?" And he was right. It felt like we weren't supposed to be there at all. And just when we started thinking maybe the game was broken, it happened. A blood-red clock suddenly blinked into the corner of the screen. 10 minutes, that's it. No explanation. No clue what happens when it hits 0. Just a countdown, and my stomach dropped, because if there's a timer in a horror game, you already know something's coming, and we were right, because that was the first sign the boiled one was already moving. So there it was, this blood-red timer glaring at us from the corner of the screen. 10 minutes, no tutorial, no journal entries, no voiceover to explain what we were supposed to do, just a number ticking down like a time bomb, and let me tell you, the second it appeared, atmosphere shifted. It didn't feel like exploration anymore. It felt like survival. At first, we tried to play it off. Oh, maybe it's like a puzzle game. One of us joked, trying to calm the tension. Maybe we just have to turn off the boiler before dinner's ruined. We laughed for about 2 seconds, but deep down, no one was laughing, because we all knew what timers mean in horror games. A timer means you're being hunted. We started walking through the corridor, every step echoing. The walls seemed narrower the further we went. Steam hissed out of the pipes, spraying across our vision, making it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. And then there was that sound again, the boiling. It wasn't background noise anymore, it was directional, like it was moving. Sometimes it bubbled from the left, sometimes from the right, sometimes from directly behind us. My heart started to race. 9 minutes, we froze, because for the first time we heard something else. Footsteps, not ours. Wet, heavy, dragging footsteps splashing in shallow water. They echoed through the corridor, faint at first, then louder, closer. We whipped around, but of course, the hallway behind us was empty. Just shadows stretching long and thin under the flickering lights. Maybe it's an audio trick. My friend said, his voice shaky, like it's just meant to mess with us. And maybe he was right, but then why did it sound like it was matching our pace? Every time we stopped, the splashing stopped. Every time we walked again, it followed. 8 minutes. We picked up the pace, moving faster through the dripping hallway. That's when the environment started to change. The walls bent in strange angles, like they'd been warped by heat. The floor sloped downward, and suddenly, water was pooling around our ankles. Every step splashed. The smell hit us next like iron and steam, metallic and suffocating. It honestly felt like walking through the inside of a kettle. 7 minutes. Then lights flickered, and I swear to you, just for a moment, I saw it. A figure at the far end of the corridor, pale, blistered, bent forward unnaturally, like its bones couldn't hold it upright. It disappeared the instant the lights came back, but that was all it took. The mood shifted from tense to pure panic. We started arguing. Do we run forward? Do we go back? And nobody wanted to choose, because forward meant chasing the thing we just saw, and backward meant walking into the footsteps that kept following us. So we did the worst thing you can do in a horror game. We froze. 6 minutes. That's when it happened. A scream tore through the corridor, not human, not animal. It was like steam escaping a pipe, shrill and piercing, but layered with something deeper, something alive. It rattled through my headset so hard I almost threw my controller. And worse, it came from right behind us. My friend yelled, "Run!" And we bolted forward, splashing through the water, the timer ticking down like a heartbeat in my ears. I could hear the footsteps chasing us now, faster, heavier, like whatever it was had finally decided to stop playing games. 5 minutes. We rounded a corner, breathless, and burst into a massive steel door. Relief hit for a split second. Maybe this was the exit. Maybe this was safety. But then I noticed something carved into the metal, scratched in jagged letters. One phrase, "Do not open." And we stood there, gasping, staring at that warning while the footsteps behind us grew louder. That door was massive, rusted steel, bolts bigger than my fist, and those words scratched deep across the front. "Do not open." At first, none of us wanted to touch it. We were already on edge. Timer was ticking down. 4 minutes and change now, and the footsteps behind us hadn't stopped. They were closer, louder, splashing through the water like something was charging straight at us. We panicked. Someone yelled, "Open it, just open it." And against every warning sign, we shoved the door with all our strength. It creaked open like the hinges hadn't moved in years. The moment it opened, the boiling sound roared in my ears, 10 times louder than before, like we'd just unleashed pressure from a sealed tank. The room beyond was a wrong. Huge, round walls dripping with condensation, pipes hissing steam into the air, and in the middle a pool, not water, not exactly. The surface bubbled like tar mixed with blood, thick and restless, glowing faintly from underneath. We just stood there, staring, until one of us whispered, "This is where he was made." And for the first time, I actually believed it. The timer dropped to 4 minutes, and then it happened, that sound. Not the footsteps this time, not the scream, a growl. Deep, wet, guttural, rolling out of the darkness behind us. Every hair on my body stood up. I turned my camera slow, not wanting to see it, but needing to, and there he was, the boiled one, crawling out of the shadows like some nightmare dragged straight out of a pot. His skin was pale and cracked, blistered open in places where boiling liquid seeped through. His arms bent wrong, like they'd been broken and melted back together. Steam poured out of his mouth with every ragged breath, and his eyes, they weren't eyes, just black pits, bubbling at the edges like tar. I froze, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My heart was hammering so loud I could hear it over the game audio. One of my friends shouted, "Go." And suddenly we were running again, stumbling through the chamber, trying not to slip on the wet floor. The thing lunged, not walking, not even running, crawling, fast. Its limbs slapped against The ground with a sickening wet smack as it chased us, water splashing in every direction. I swear I could feel it breathing on the back of my neck, hot and damp through the headset. 3 minutes. We sprinted around the pool, searching for any way out. The chamber had ladders, catwalks, doors sealed with rust, but nothing we could open. Panic set in hard. Every option looked useless. Every second wasted was another second closer to being caught. My friend screamed into the mic, "It's behind you." And when I turned the camera, the boiled one was crawling up onto the wall, sideways, defying gravity, his body twisted but moving with terrifying speed. We had no choice. We ran to another door at the far side of the chamber, smaller than the first, half submerged in steam, slammed into it, praying it wasn't locked, and by some miracle it opened. 2 minutes. We stumbled into a narrow passage, pitch black except for a faint glow at the end. The boiling sound followed us in, echoing down the walls like it was inside the pipes themselves, and still always those footsteps. He was coming. No matter how far we ran, he was always right behind. The timer blinked down to 1 minute, glowing brighter, faster, pulsing like a heartbeat. My breathing was ragged, my hands slick with sweat. And just as we reached the end of the passage, that faint glow turned into something else. A chamber, bigger, louder, and in the middle, a shattered containment tank. And that's when we realized the boiled one had already broken free. The containment chamber was massive, bigger than anything we'd seen so far. The moment we stepped inside, the sound hit us like a wall. Steam blasting from broken pipes, alarms wailing in the distance, and that awful boiling bubbling beneath it all. The floor was slick with condensation, fog rising up to our knees, and right there in center the tank, or what was left of it. The glass had shattered outward, jagged shards scattered across the floor, glistening wet under the dim light. The steel restraints that must have once held something inside were bent, twisted like paper clips, and the liquid that filled the tank was gone. Trails of it smeared across the chamber floor like something had crawled out and dragged itself away. We froze, staring. The game didn't have to explain anything. It was obvious. This was supposed to be where he was locked away. This was where he had been kept. But now, he was gone, free. Timer ticked 0:59, and that's when the alarms cut out. Silence, total, suffocating silence. The only sound was our breathing in the mics, until the mics glitched. For a split second, I swear we could hear something else breathing with us. Slow, wet, heavy, not from the speakers, from inside the voice channel. We all went dead quiet, afraid even to whisper. Then a hiss. The lights above us flickered and died, plunging the chamber into total darkness. The fog rose higher, swallowing our legs, then our waists. It was like standing in boiling mist. I could almost feel my skin sting. Through the screen, we fumbled around, our characters bumping into walls, into each other, and in the distance, footsteps, not the fast, crawling kind this time, slow, deliberate, one step, then another, splish, splash, each one closer. The timer hit 0:45. One of my friends tried to crack a joke to cut the tension, something like, maybe he just wants a hug. But his voice cracked halfway through, and it wasn't funny. None of us were laughing anymore. We were locked in, hearts pounding, staring at black screens, waiting for something, anything to move. And then we saw it. Two faint shapes glowing in the dark, not eyes exactly, more like pits of molten tar, bubbling faintly, oozing steam with every pulse. They weren't far, they weren't hidden, they were right there in the fog. Watching us, 0:30. We backed away slowly, whispering to each other, trying not to panic. But the game betrayed us. Our mics spiked, every shuffle, every shaky breath amplified. And the moment one of us gasped too loud, those glowing pits surged forward. The boiled one lunged from the mist, crawling with that horrible wet slap, his skin blistering and bursting as steam hissed out with every movement. We screamed, bolting across the chamber. Our footsteps splashed wildly, and the fog rippled as he gave chase. The sound design was insane. I swear it felt like he was right there, breathing on the back of my neck. The timer was racing down. 0:20, 19, 18. We found another door, slammed into it, locked. Another one, sealed shut. We were running in circles, panicking. No Way out, the fog was so thick we couldn't even see each other anymore, just distant outlines flashing briefly under the stuttering lights, and then I realized something. The timer wasn't counting down to 0, it was counting down to him, because every step we took, every second that passed, brought him closer, and when the timer hit 0, there'd be no escape. The numbers were vanishing. Fast now. 0, 15, 0, 14, 0, 13. Each tick felt like a heartbeat slamming against my skull. I could barely hear my friends over the sound of the boiling, which was everywhere now, not in one spot. Inside the walls, the pipes, the floor beneath our feet. It was like the whole chamber itself was cooking alive. And then the worst thing happened. The game turned our microphones all the way up. We could hear every inhale, every nervous laugh, every tremble in our voices. It was like the game wanted him to hear us. Every sound felt like bait, every breath like a death sentence. We huddled near the far wall, whispering, "Stay still, don't talk, don't breathe." But of course, nerves make you slip up. Someone coughed, just one small cough, and the instant that sound hit, the footstep exploded. He was sprinting now, crawling, pounding, dragging himself across the wet floor with unnatural speed. The fog split apart as his body slammed through it, steam trailing off his blistered skin. We bolted, tripping over the glass shards scattered across the chamber floor, cutting our feet, stumbling toward the only light we could see, a blinking red exit sign half buried in mist. 09008. We shoved the door under the sign, locked. The message appeared, "Containment override required." Our hearts sank. What did that even mean? How were we supposed to override anything with seconds left? Panic took over. One friend yelled, "Find a switch." Another screamed, "It's too late." And all I could do was run in circles, desperately scanning the walls. 006, and then I saw it. A control panel near the shattered tank, half sparking, covered in steam. The screen flickered with two options, lockdown or release. I didn't think, I just slammed the joystick toward lockdown and hit the button. 004. The chamber shook violently. Sirens wailed, lights blazed red, and broken pipes started venting massive bursts of steam. For a second, I thought maybe we'd done it. Maybe we'd actually contained him again. But then the panel glitched. The word lockdown flickered, scrambled, and was replaced with one word: failure. 002. He screamed, that horrible kettle. Scream tore through the chamber, rattling the speakers so hard it made my ears ring. We spun around, and there he was, crawling straight at us, boiling water dripping from his mouth like venom, his skin splitting and hissing with every movement. 001. We ran, didn't matter where, just anywhere. But there, through the fog, down another corridor that hadn't been there before, the game literally shifting around us. The walls melted, the pipes burst, the air itself felt like it was on fire. Then the timer hit 000, the screen cut to black. For a moment, silence, just silence. I thought maybe it was over, that we'd died, game over, back to the menu, but no, the silence broke with a sound I'll never forget, breathing, not ours, not my friends, his, slow, heavy, wet breathing, right in our ears. The game wasn't just scaring us anymore, it was inside the microphones, and then words appeared on screen, "You can't contain him." But the game didn't close, the breathing didn't stop, which meant he was still with us. The screen was black, but the game wasn't over. I could still hear it, that breathing, wet, rattling, inhuman. It wasn't muffled like before, it was clear, sharp, like he was standing right behind me, just out of reach. I froze in my chair. My friend went dead silent in the call, and for a good 10 seconds none of us said a word, because if we spoke we weren't sure what would happen. Then text began to type itself across the screen, one letter at a time, like someone was hammering the words into our heads. "You can't contain him." I laughed nervously, trying to play it off, but inside, my stomach was in knots. It didn't feel like the game talking anymore. It felt like him, the boiled one. Like he was letting us know that breaking free wasn't an accident, it was inevitable. I tried hitting buttons, tried backing out, Alt F4, anything to escape. Nothing worked. My screen stayed black, the breathing kept circling my headset, and then my mic light flicked on without me touching it. He was still in the channel. He was still listening. One friend whispered, "Do you guys hear that?" And I'll never forget what he said next. I don't think that's the game anymore. We all went quiet again, just listening, and in that silence, faintly, so faintly, I swear I heard something else. A laugh not ours, a low, bubbling chuckle, like boiling water trying to speak. That's when I yanked off my headset. I couldn't take it. When I finally put it back on, the screen had changed. Blackness was gone, replaced with my desktop. No game window, no error message, nothing. It was just gone, like it had never existed. But my headset, still breathing, I don't know how long it lasted. Seconds, minutes, it felt like forever. And then, finally, silence. Just like that, it stopped. No sound, no warning, nothing. We sat there stunned. No one said a word for a full minute. And then, slowly, I just muttered, "So we're never opening that again." Nervous laughter followed, but it didn't feel real. None of us wanted to admit the same thought running through our heads. What if it wasn't over? What if we hadn't actually escaped? Because here's the thing about horror games. When the credits roll, when the menu pops back up, you know you're safe. But this game, it didn't give a that, no ending, no closure, just silence. And silence doesn't feel safe. It feels like waiting. So yeah, safe to say, we are never opening that game at night again. Or maybe ever. But hey, if you guys want us to try it one more time, smash that like button. Just don't blame me if the breathing doesn't stay in our headset next time, because if the boiled one has escaped, maybe he's already looking for you. And if you hear bubbling water tonight, don't check the kitchen.